Invasive species is in the news quite a lot. The last probably 10 to 15 years we've heard about it. What is an invasive species? Well, it's a species that was not found here prior to European settlement. These are plants, animals, insects that were brought here either by accident or on purpose by humans. Phragmites australis is also known as common tall reed grass. Natively, it was found in Eastern Europe. And this was brought into the southern United States for erosion control in the 1940s. And it slowly made its way up north, and now it's definitely here in Ontario. It's a huge problem because our wetlands are already at risk. There's only like 3% of the native wetlands left in Ontario. So they're already stressed out. And then to introduce a plant that rapidly takes over and outcompetes all the other vegetation, it's a real stress on these wetlands.
Where Phragmites grows, nothing else grows. Nothing else lives in it. The only thing that's able to live in Phragmites are ticks and flies. We spray it, we kill it, and then we have track machines where we go in and either roll it, flatten it right to the ground, or windrow it, and then we burn it. I've been spraying frag for over, well, almost 42 years. We need our wetlands. They're very, very important to our ecology, to preserving animals and birds and hunting, and when it comes in, it gets rid of all that.
Trying to fight these issues after these species are already here is very expensive and near impossible. So getting the word out there, educating people on the right trees and plants to put into their gardens and avoid this before it happens is really key. Somewhere like McGeechie's Pond down near Erio, we do a lot of Phragmites work there because it's visible, people can see it, and they can learn about it and hopefully take that message back to their own property.
Soil health, more or less, is managing your soil and your agricultural options in a manner that will ensure that the chemical, biological, and structural aspects of your soil are in good standing and provide the capacity to produce food while balancing the needs of our environment. In the Thames River watershed, specifically in the area of Chatham-Kent, we significantly rely on agricultural production for our economy. The vast majority of our landscape is agricultural land because our soils are very favorable for production. Generally speaking, best management practices are defined as practices that will maintain productivity in terms of crop production, so healthy yields, but will also sustain your base environment. So you're not degrading the soil, you're still maintaining your soil structure, its nutrient levels, but you're also still producing a healthy crop.
Well, my grandfather farmed in Genesee Creek, and I still remember I was probably 6 or 7 years old. He took me out and he picked up a pile of dirt and he made me smell it, and he said, "Smell this." And it's a smell I still remember to this day, and I think over the years I always go out and I smell dirt, and I'm not getting that smell I smelled back then, because soil, as we all know, is a living thing. There's organisms, microorganisms, worms, everything growing in soil. And I think somehow in agriculture, with big agriculture, I think we've got away from that.
Soil health to me is a combination of what you have on the surface, so your surface protection, your cover crops, but it's also the part below. My goal for my farms is to have a living cover on it all year round. You can see I have mature windbreaks. My dad and I planted those a long time ago, but there's a lot of them that are getting ripped up, and we need to get some more windbreaks in to try to slow the wind down going across the farms. We need to move away from tillage into a reduced or a no-till system. Every time we work the soil, we're reducing our organic matter, we're disturbing the natural part of the soil, we're disturbing all those bacteria and stuff that are in the soil. We need to leave them alone, just feed them and let them do their job. The soil that we have here, you can see it's nicely crumbled. There's lots of fine root hairs in there. This comes from decades of building soil and taking care of our farm.
Algae are very small organisms, many of them microscopic. They grow in the environment, they provide the basis of the food web. But a bloom refers to a situation where we get overabundant growth of this algae, and then that creates problems in the environment. We can see it all throughout the watershed. If you're driving down the road and you look to the side of the road and you see green in the water, that's algae growth. And when it gets really big, we refer to it as a bloom. The ones that are the biggest concern right now happen to be on Lake Erie. And this bloom is made up of actually a cyanobacteria. And when it blooms, it can produce a toxin that creates a problem for people and animal life, impacts recreational use, potentially has impact for fisheries. And so it's a great concern for us in the watershed.
So this is the McGregor Creek Gauge Station that the Lower Thames Valley and the Water Survey Canada take care of and maintain. The data we get from this station helps us determine the water quality of McGregor Creek that's entering Lake Erie. And by understanding the water quality of these tributaries that go into Lake Erie, we can have a better understanding of how we can impact the algae blooms and how we can help mitigate it.
An awful lot of people are concerned about Lake Erie water quality. We know that what causes the algae bloom is the high phosphorus in the water. So if we can hold on to more water, hold on to it a little bit longer, reduce the amount of phosphorus that is getting into Lake Erie, then we are working towards a solution.
The Carolinian Life Zone is located between Toronto and the Carolinas in the United States. The Lower Thames watershed is located in the Carolinian Life Zone. It's also known as the temperate or deciduous forest. And what's really unique about it is that it has the most flora and fauna out of any other life zone in Canada, and it's only about 1% of the total Canadian landmass. It also has the highest average temperatures, so that makes it possible for a lot of species to live and thrive. In the Lower Thames watershed, we are located between two migratory bird trajectories, the Atlantic and the Mississippi. And so birds migrate through, especially through Chatham-Kent, through the spring and fall. And habitat is super important, either just for resting or living. With that, a lot of the species are in decline and don't have the necessary habitat for them to come through our area.
Southwestern Ontario has a large number of species at risk for a number of reasons. First, many of the species that are found here are at the northern edge of their range. And this means that they are at their limits of tolerance for the environmental conditions. Each species has a unique role to play in the environment. So for instance, our freshwater mussel species are filter feeders. They can filter approximately 40 liters of water in a day. They can be found in densities in the Thames River of up to 100 individuals in a meter squared, and some of them can live between 15 and 100 or more years. So overall, that means that an individual mussel over its whole lifespan could actually filter close to 1.5 million liters of water. So loss of any one species can throw the whole system out of balance, and that has ultimate impacts for humans.
At the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, we help landowners put back habitat on their property. We do natural restoration projects that include tree planting, grasslands, and wetlands. And we work with them to provide funding and incentive and grants to help them with those projects.